Hey y'all, welcome back to the Mace Family Homestead. Today we're going to be baking some sourdough bread. So let's get to the kitchen and let's get this process started. Okay, so we're in the kitchen now, but we're going to be making some sourdough. I already have my starter. I purchased this from King Arthur Baking online. Purchased it. I purchased the little, I guess, carafe or whatever this thing is called for holding it. I feed this every morning. I feed it at night before I go to bed. I feed it once every 12 hours, so this way I can keep my starter going. And as long as it's out at room temp, you gotta feed it twice a day. If it's in the fridge, I believe it's like every 3 days. The instruction manual comes with it from King Arthur, and it's relatively simple. Just don't do what I did the other day, which is I didn't weigh out the flour and I did not weigh out the water. I added a cup and a half of AP flour, all-purpose flour, and then I added a cup and a half of water. Forgot that water and the flour do weigh differently, so it came out a little bit liquidy. But last night, what I did is this morning I should say, what I did is I took some of this starter that I have, placed it in a bowl, covered it with some saran wrap, and as you can see, it's nice and bubbly. It's ready to start being used. And it is ready to go. It's hungry. I've let it rise, as you can see from the edge of the bowl here. I let it rise and start coming up. It's not completely all the way down yet, but I want it to be hungry. So I ordered this off Amazon, the 6-quart plastic bowl thing. I wanted this so that I could make my dough in here and leave it in here. So for this bread starter, or for this bread sourdough mix, what I've done is I've added 700 grams of strong bread flour and then 100 grams of whole wheat flour to this mix. So what I'm gonna do is get in here with my hands, mix everything up really good. And then here I have 460 milliliters of water, or 460 grams. So I'm gonna go ahead and add, and also in here I added my salt. I dissolved the salt. Now there are some people that say add the salt water later, add the salt later on, but I've watched some other videos, and I'm not gonna lie, this is my first time ever making sourdough, so we're gonna learn together. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the water and the salt together. I just dissolved the salt into the water. Now we're gonna weigh out approximately 320 grams of starter. So again, this is the starter that I made this morning. What I did is, because it is a little cool still here in New Mexico, what I've done is I place this in the bowl and then place this in the oven with the oven light on so that it can actually help it rise a little bit. So we're gonna add this to our mix, almost. And there we go, 320 grams. I'll just go ahead and add the rest. Why not? Now I'm not gonna add any yeast to this because the bacteria that's in the sourdough starter is gonna go ahead and make the bread rise on itself. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna give this a good mix, and then we're gonna allow it to proof in here for about 3 hours. So we'll be back after that's done. Okay, as you saw, what I did is I added a little bit of flour to my hands and kneaded this out to keep it from sticking way too much. And then what I did is I try to build a little surface tension on top by bringing my hands as paddles underneath, my thumbs out, and then back down. So I'll show it to you one more time real quick. So you're gonna bring your hands as paddles, thumbs towards one way, and slap it. Out, slap, out, slap. And you just wanna make sure that you're doing it the same way. So it's looking pretty good. I'm gonna drop it in here. Now I'm gonna prove this for 45 minutes, come back out, knead it one more time, prove it for 45, knead it, prove it for 45, knead it, and let it prove again, and then I will go ahead and shape it for going in the fridge overnight. So we'll be back as soon as that process is ready. Okay, we've given this 45 minutes of a rise inside the oven with the light on. And it has risen, it is domed in the center. Now we're gonna remove this and give it a kneading so that we can build some gluten structure within the dough. And as you can tell from just pulling on it, it is kneading, or it is forming the gluten. So we'll remove this, and we're not gonna be too rough with it. We don't really wanna punish the dough. So again, we're just going to shape this a little bit. Hands like paddle, in and down. Now when we do that, we do 25%, they say 25% of the dough. So if we do this 4 times, grabbing it, flipping it, slapping it, pushing it, then that should get the whole dough. And what we're really trying to do here is develop the gluten. Lid back on. It's gonna go back in the oven with the light on. And this time I'm just gonna allow this to sit in there for about 2 hours before I even touch it. So what I'm gonna do, for the sake of this video, is give this a quick mark on where this dough is at. Press it down a little bit so we can make sure we're accurate. Okay. We're going to give this a quick mark, just ever so slightly. Okay. Hopefully y'all can see that mark right there. I'm sorry about the light, but it is kind of middle of the afternoon. But now we're going to leave this and put it in the fridge. We're gonna allow it to rise for a couple hours, and then I'm gonna come back to it, shape it, and we'll go from there. All right, y'all. It's been about 2.5 hours since the last time we checked in on the dough, and as you can see, there's the mark, and there's where it's risen. And it is doubled in size, which is good. It tells me that the starter that I had is working its magic. So now, besides the dogs barking, we're going to get our countertop a little bit of flour so that we can pre-shape our dough. And we're not here to shape it yet, we're just trying to pre-shape it. All right, y'all, it's been 20 minutes since these have rested. So now we're gonna start pre-shaping them to go into our bannetons. So I'm gonna flour the work surface just a little bit. We don't need a lot. Scraper here. Lift these up. Work the floured side. Again, I'm not trying to be too rough. I'm just trying to pre-shape the dough. Bring this around, sorry, little piece of dried dough right there for some reason. I'm gonna bring this one in. I'm gonna bring this one in. And then I'm gonna turn it and apply just a little pressure at the bottom to keep that surface tension on the dough itself. Now, the thing about the bannetons is you have to use rice flour. Now this may look like a lot of flour going in, but I don't want it to stick. So I'm gonna tap it around, fill in a little bit of the sides, keeping this all filled up. I'm gonna dust the top with a little bit of excess. Okay. I'm gonna work that in. I'm gonna use my bench scraper here to lift this up and turn it. And that's what it looks like. All right, our bread has been proofing for 18 and a half hours. Cast iron's been in the oven for an hour. We do want this scalding hot. I've got some semolina flour that I ordered online to dust the bottom of this. I know it's gonna smoke a little bit, but this is a low fat semolina, which won't burn to the bottom like if you use cornstarch. Whew, that's really hot. Okay, we've got our dough and it's looking good. I am gonna dust the countertop a little bit with some semolina. And we're gonna turn this out real quick. There we go, looking good. We're gonna brush some of these edges off just a little bit. Get some of this excess rice flour off. Okay, now instead of having a bread lom all the time, I have these just razor blades, and I think it gives me a little bit better control. I'm gonna dust a little bit more off of this. Get more of this flour off. Okay, now we're gonna make, you can do anything you want, just remember you gotta score the bread because of the fact that you want the steam to escape the bread. So I'm gonna come down, I'm gonna give this a nice deep cut. And I'm gonna go through the center here again. I don't know why it's not cutting very well. Okay, and I'm gonna use my bench scraper here to kind of help me get this into the pan, scoot it around. The reason why we're doing the cast iron is because the cast iron will allow the bread to utilize its own moisture it has. I'm gonna put this into the oven, 500-degree oven. We're gonna bake this for 20 minutes at 500 degrees, and then we're gonna drop the temp and take the lid off, and we're gonna bake it at 475 for another 20 minutes or until golden brown. And you'll see the whole process, so we'll be right back. All right, the last 20 minutes of cook time has been done. We took these out of the oven and they look beautiful. And they sound completely hollow, which is what you want. Design on the sides of this one didn't really come out as good as I wanted it to, but hey, you know, I think they come out really good. It really crystallized and it really made a big difference in how this bread looks. So I hope y'all give this recipe a try. I'll show a video at the end of what everything looks like inside. And these things, as I can hear, are just singing with the crackling of the crust from the steam. So I do appreciate it. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so that you can get more of the content that we're putting out. And we'll see you around.